I'd like to call to order the meeting of December 1st, 2015. Would you all please stand for the invocation of pledge of allegiance?
We thank you for the privilege to live in your presence and to work with you to build a better community. Help us to do right, to do fairly with all of our citizens, and give us the faith and courage to put our trust in you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Here. Here.
Liston? Calendar?
Here.
Simpson?
Here.
Laker?
Here.
Willard?
Here.
Blaisdell?
Here. You all received the meeting minutes for November 17th. Are there any questions or comments on those? They'll stand as presented. I have one reading this evening, a proclamation to Lowell Schloniger. Whereas Lowell Schloniger served as a city council member from January 1992 through December 1996, at which time he became the mayor of the city of Columbiana, serving until October 2006. And during his term as mayor, he fulfilled his duty on the planning commission, and when he stepped down as mayor in October 2006, he continued to service to the city as council president on city council from November 2006 until October 2015. Whereas he was notably involved in progressive decisions for the city of Columbiana and its citizenry, and whereas he exhibited true dedication and distinction to the planning and growth of a constantly evolving and expanding community, and whereas he has earned the admiration and high regard of those with whom he has come into contact and the affection of his fellow public servants, whereas he has willingly and notably demonstrated dedication and purpose for the progress of the city of Columbiana and for economic and aesthetic development of the business environment and residents equally. Now therefore, we, the council of the city of Columbiana, do hereby proclaim our appreciation to Lowell Schloniger and do further express our friendship and good wishes to Lowell for his years of dedicated service to the city and its citizens.
Thank you, Mayor.
You received the Park Recreation Cemetery Board meeting minutes of November 23rd, 2015. Any comments on those? If not, we'll move into recognition of persons desiring to appear. And first is crystal balls in regard to Pumpkin Pie 5K race.
Trying to stay ahead of things for next year. On Sunday, October 2nd, next year, we would like to put on a pumpkin pie 5K. It would start and finish at Columbiana High School. We would actually just exit the high school parking lot, go left up the Columbiana Waterford Road. We would be turning around at Metz Road and coming back. It's an out and back course. It's very simple. They did this course, 10 years ago or so, and we just want to bring it back. This is actually going to take place of the half marathon we were doing. We just decided to scale back. We get a lot more participation from these smaller events. And so instead of the half marathon, this is what we'd be doing instead. Proceeds would be benefiting Columbiana's cross-country team. They are always in need of funds, and we want to help them out.
Have you gone over the course with the chief?
Yes, I already spoke with the police department.
Is there any additional insurance that you're going to need for coverage?
We always purchase it, yeah. I don't want anybody suing me.
It's available upon request, or who do you turn it into?
I can turn it into the city, yeah.
Really turn on the feedback? I'm sound very good.
You have to take this to the township as well?
Yeah, I'll be going to township next. And I've already talked to the sheriff's department because they're actually in charge of the intersection up there by Metz Road. So they're already aware.
Move to approve. Second.
Ken and I think we're going to end.
I'm glad you got your running suit on.
You can walk in, there's nothing against walking.
I'm ready.
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
There you go, you got it.
McBain?
Yes.
There you go.
Callender?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else desiring to appear in front of council this evening? Okay, if not, we will move right into the city manager's report.
I did reach out to Terry Kelly regarding his expiring Board of Zoning Appeals seat. And he is interested, and he said he's going to drop off a letter. He hasn't done that yet. The Norfolk Southern crews came in and completed both the Elm Street crossing and the Pittsburgh Street crossing, and they're completely finished, and it's nice and smooth, and we're completely done with that. They will be returning in the future. Don't think we have a date on that yet, but it's a Main Street crossing. They will tear that up and redo it to make it smoother than what it is right now. The online auction went very well. That Dodge, 1974 Dodge, brought $9,200. We paid $15,000 for it in 1974, so it did pretty well. 1971 Perch Pumper brought $5,200, and that was an online auction by Kellner Auctions that went really well. We had interest all around the U.S., and I don't know which one went where, but one went to New York and the other one went to Virginia, so that's kind of neat that, where one of them is going to go to a museum too. Not sure which museum, but it's going there. Is it? Fair? Okay. And the one guy said, told Mr. Keller he was going to drive it home, so I don't know if he did. Park and Cemetery, they finished up the light displays on the pavilions, and they completed the leaves both in the cemetery and the park. And we got everything ready for the light up for Joy Christmas. And then electric department, they put the Christmas tree up there. And thank you for doing that. And there was several departments involved in that. It was quite a task. So they did turn on the Christmas lights on November 20th at street light up, and that was very nice. The tree trimming crews have been in town, and they will continue to be in town. So you'll see them out there doing the various quadrants. Kind of doing 2 quadrants this year. They did, I believe it was the north half last year, and they're going to do the south half this year. Street department, they're getting the plow trucks ready. They paved a section of Creek Road last week, and finished up the leaf blower, and they'll be picking up leaf bags again very soon. So you can go ahead and put those out. And the wastewater, we're still working on a plan to make some improvements to the Manor lift station. That's all I have for that.
Okay. We have notification from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control regarding an application for a temporary liquor permit in the city of Columbiana. J.A. Benedict Corporation doing business as the Sandwich Factory at 1116 Village Plaza, Patio, Columbiana, Ohio 44408. Normally, whenever we receive one of these, because we want to know if we want to hear it or not, we normally vote, make a motion to have a hearing. If you don't want to have a hearing, you just vote no. And we don't normally have the hearing unless there's a problem. Do you know any reason not to?
No, I'm not opposed to the, it's a renewal, we're not opposed to that, we have literally no problems there, they are very good about handling their liquor permit and very diligent, we don't oppose it at all.
So I will need a motion to have a hearing.
I'll make a motion to have a hearing.
I'll second that motion.
Deanne?
Souter?
No.
No.
Callender?
No.
Simpson?
No?
Becker?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the bill list for December 1st. Any questions or comments on that? If not, I will move into old business due to the length of the ordinances.
Just before you do that, we are going to have a vacant seat on planning commission as of, I guess, January 1st. And I think that it's appropriate we ask people to send in letters to apply for that position. And I think looking at the calendar, Lance, you'd probably like to have in order to get it into our package by something like the 29th of December.
Yes, yeah, the 29th or 30th will work.
Due to the length of the ordinances, can I have a motion to read them by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Deanne?
McBain?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-R-486, second reading. A resolution repealing resolution 15-R-474 passed on April 15, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call.
Callender?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2840, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the Director of Finance of the City of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Deanne?
Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2841, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the Chief of Police of the City of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
It's paid that.
He earns it. Deanne?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes?
Ordinance number 15-0-2842, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the Superintendent of Light and Power of the City of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Deanne?
Sauer?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2843, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the Water Superintendent of the City of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Deanne?
McBain?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2844, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the wastewater superintendent of the City of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Deanne?
Callender?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes?
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2845, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the street superintendent for the city of Columbiana.
so moved.
Second.
Any comment? Deanne?
Simpson,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2846, second reading. Setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the park and cemetery superintendent for the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Deanne?
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2847, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the public safety vehicle service supervisor of the city of Columbiana.
So moved. Second.
Any comment? Deanne?
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, could I ask your indulgence that maybe the next resolution we would read in the entirety,
Absolutely.
if it's okay with council?
Before we proceed to do business, may I make a comment? All those supervisors out here, I've worked with you fellows for the last 2 years, and of course, I've worked with you all for years and years, but I don't think we've had a better group of supervisors in a long time. You're always there when we call, you always help us out. Thank you. Job well done.
I'd also like to say before I read this ordinance that I requested that this ordinance not even be on here tonight. I think that it's way cart before the horse, but I will read it as proposed.
If you would, please.
A resolution amending section 1260.329A2D of chapter 1260, general provisions and definitions, title 6, zoning of the codified ordinances of Columbiana, Ohio, for the purpose of regulating, painting and decorating, or decoration of the exterior of a multifamily, commercial, and industrial building and structure. Be it hereby resolved by the council for the city of Columbiana, state of Ohio, section 1, that section 1260.32A2D of chapter 1260, general provisions and definition, title 6, zoning of the codified ordinances of Columbiana, Ohio, shall be and hereby is amended, subject to the consideration and recommendation of the planning commission of the city of Columbiana as follows. The architectural design of buildings shall be developed with consideration given to the relationship of adjacent development in terms of building height, mass, texture, material, line, pattern, and character. The painting of the exterior walls of any building or structure shall be limited to a solid neutral color, which is harmonious with surrounding buildings and structures, and murals, scenes, designs, symbols, pictures, and other such decorating are prohibited on the exterior walls and roof of any building or structure. Section 2, that this resolution shall be forthwith certified by the clerk of council to the city planning commission in accordance with provisions of section 1262.14 codified ordinances of Columbiana, Ohio. Section 3, that the section reading and passage of this resolution shall be and hereby is scheduled for the 19th day of January 2016 in the anticipation of the receipt of a recommendation of the planning commission by this council on December 15th, and the scheduling of the public hearing required by the provision of section 1262.15 of the codified ordinances of Columbiana, Ohio, on the 19th day of January 2016, thereby accommodating the public notice requirement and the adoption requirement set forth in sections 1262.15 and 1262.16 of the codified ordinances of Columbiana. Section 4, that from and after the 15th day of December 2015, the text of this resolution, together with the recommendation of the City Planning Commission, shall be on file for public inspection at the office of Columbiana City Manager, 28 West Front Street, Columbiana, Ohio. Section 5, that this resolution shall be passed in short form in accordance with section 6.15B of the amended charter of the City of Columbiana. In section 3, that this resolution shall become effective and be in full force and virtue at the earliest point in time permitted by provisions of the amended charter of the city of Columbiana.
Move to approve.
Second.
Comments?
Yeah. This, I didn't want to have this to happen at my last meeting as a councilman in Columbiana. When I received this in my packet, I was appalled. Not sure how this all happened, but I don't believe we should be flat out saying no to these murals, wall art, whatever you want to call it. Reason, my biggest reason is Columbiana is right now moving in a very positive direction. The wall art in question is not a problem, and it's not pointed at, this ordinance is not pointed at you. You did the wall art and it made people, whoa, we have no controls. I think we do not want that strict control. I would like to see more. The young people like these. Us old guys question it. Of course, I might think younger than a lot of young people do. I feel we need to have this. Do we need some controls? Yes. My suggestion, and it needs to go to Planning Commission first. My suggestion, and I know she won't be able to write this down, and I left the paper at home. I think this, if you are to have a mural, you must come before Planning Commission for permission to put it up. You must have a 2-scale drawing of said wall art, so the Planning Commission can see what it is. You must have permission of the building owner in writing, if you do not own a building. You must have a contract of some type between the building owner and the artist. The reason for this being is there has been situations where wall art was put up, it was changed, the artist sued because that's their wall art. The owner of the building should have complete control of that wall art, okay? All properties who have a direct line of sight at this given mural should be notified in writing that there will be a public hearing in Planning Commission, and of course posted for a public hearing. At that time, Planning Commission, I put my trust in Planning Commission members, can look and see if it's truly fitting for our community, yes or no. I recommend that we have that come through the Planning Commission. I don't want to say no.
I agree with you. I mean, I believe that there need to be controls in place, but the discussion that took place 2 weeks ago was for a discussion to take place at Planning Commission to do precisely what you just discussed, to banter about, to come up with ideas, not to just put something on for council to vote on. My opinion is, whether it's worded exactly that way or Planning Commission comes up with something similar, I think we need to have something in place. But I think the Planning Commission should take it up long before it comes here for a vote, and you have 3 days to think about it. Yeah, you don't. We know who you are.
I'm a little confused, having only been up there for a few years, where this resolution came from. I would assume that it should have started in the Planning Commission with maybe 1 or 2 first meeting asking for suggestions, the second meeting going over it. Was this done in Planning Commission?
No.
Then my second question is, how did this resolution come to be on the agenda? Who put it on, or how was it done?
You want to Lance or Dan?
Who asked that this resolution be drawn up in the form that it is?
I don't know.
I can give you some insight into that.
Okay,
After the last council meeting, it was discussed with Mr. Blakeman and Crystal
And Dane.
and Dan, that the mural had gone up. It had just come to our attention. At that point in time, it was deemed appropriate that we address the regulation issue. And I had roughed out some language, which I gave to the three of them, which Brian has. And I told him at that time, I said, look, this is a work in progress. I said, this isn't anything written in stone, but this will get the discussion started. Now, in terms of whether or not it commences in the planning commission or council, having been on council for a long time, you know that this can come either from council or the planning commission. And the process is pretty simple. If it comes from council, it then goes back to planning commissions for review, and then back again to council. On the other hand, it can come directly from planning commission, but then it comes right back to council. So the purpose in presenting this evening was just to get it started as fast as possible, so that this issue could be addressed and ultimately dealt with. There are lots of things to consider here. I don't have any problem with the suggestion that Mr. Simpson made. As I told anybody who has asked me about this, this is a decision that's made by council and planning commission. They can do nothing. They can attempt to regulate it in several different ways. And this is what we're trying to determine at this point in time. I can give you an example of one way that it was done in the city of Brunswick. In Brunswick, and I really need to back up just a moment here. The issue in this situation is always between whether it's art, pure art in and of itself, or it's a sign. And the two are very difficult sometimes to distinguish. I can give you the classic example. A proprietor has a flower shop. And they decide they want to decorate the flower shop. And they paint an entire wall with a beautiful scene from a field or a meadow with all these beautiful flowers and whatnot. It looks like a beautiful picture, and it is. But it's also clearly an advertisement for the flower shop. And that's been the issue that's been litigated in a number of court cases. There was one in the city of Tip City about 5 years ago. In fact, we remodeled our zoning, our sign ordinance in response to the Tip City situation, which involved a mural, which the court held was a commercial speech mural. In other words, it was a picture of something, and it was nicely done, but it clearly provided advertisement for the business. And if you look at the definition of a sign in our code, it reads very simply, a sign means any surface of a building on which illustrations, designs, or figures are painted and used to attract attention to that place. People think of signs as public power community, but it can be anything, and a picture, as beautiful as it may be, can be a sign. So, we need to determine whether we're dealing with a commercially regulated speech or an entirely free speech situation, which is just a picture. For example, on a barber shop, somebody wants to paint a picture of an old West scene, which has nothing to do with the barber shop. So, in that case, they come before the planning commission in his scenario, and they would go through that process and determine whether or not it was appropriate to do. In Brunswick, as I said before, I thought they had a pretty reasonable approach to this. They determined that if someone wanted to paint a mural on their wall, and it was strictly a picture, it didn't have anything to do with the business, it was strictly art, no question about it. Well, in that case, they will permit that in Brunswick as a conditionally permitted use. So you go to the planning commission, and you say, look, planning commission, I've engaged this artist to paint this picture, and they show you a mock-up of the picture, and the planning commission reviews it, and they say, that looks fine, that's not anywhere related to your business, it's not advertising, and we'll regulate it. And as Dick said, we want to get the input of the community, because remember, free speech is vital to our institutions and our freedoms, but it's also important to remember that the community has an interest in this. And, you know, the aesthetic value of the city is another consideration to be reviewed here. So, long story short, those were all the things that we've been thinking about. It's perfectly appropriate to bounce this back to the planning commission. The process can be rebooted. There's not a loss of a lot of time, and the process should work fine. Everybody will get a chance to express their opinions. We'll have a public hearing, and the decision rests with the council and the planning commission.
Very beautiful dissertation, but I think you misunderstood me. I'm not here for or against murals. But in the past, we have to realize that councilmen have no authority outside of the council chambers. We always voted on if we wanted a resolution prepared on something. And I just feel that the cart was put before the horse here by whoever reviewed or whoever wrote this. It should have first went to planning commission, or council discussed it at open meeting, because I've come to every meeting and I've never heard this brought up. So this was done outside of the council chambers. And if you're going to do resolutions, council should vote, and 99% of the time did vote for you to prepare a resolution with their direction. I'm not here to say whether there should be a mural or not should be a mural, but I think you should, council should really consider sticking by what's worked over the years. If a resolution is to be drawn up, council votes, ask you to draw up an ordinance or a resolution. It should not be written by one person and then picked apart. I think it should be done ahead of time. And I would strongly, at this point, ask that you table or disregard this ordinance tonight. Have council direct planning commission to work on this, bring their ideas and put that into a resolution, what they want in the resolution, and then done. I think it was done backwards here, because council people, and I tried to do this over the years, the only power I had when I was mayor, I could marry people and hold mayor's court, but you hold no power outside. And to have council people direct you to prepare a resolution, I think it should be carried on as it has in the past. Council votes for you to prepare a resolution, and then it does. I just think it was done backwards, and I would hope you could go back to the old way of voting.
I requested some.
And I would ask that you table this and do it in the order that it was always done.
I requested on Saturday that this be removed for that reason.
I'm not for or against the mural. That's not.
But, I mean, you have to, I said because it didn't go to the planning commission first, it should be taken off of here until.
Well, council could direct it to planning commission if you wanted to.
Understood.
Do that.
Yeah, that was the request.
There are some other issues with this particular ordinance too. One of them is, essentially it says that the painting should be limited to a solid neutral color, harmonious, and so on. To me, it sounds like they're saying a single solid color. We have multiple buildings all over town. The movie theater, what used to be Isley's, which is now the stockbroker across the street, Kitchen Solutions, all those buildings are multiple colors. In some cases, it's not just trim, it's lower story is one color, upper story is a different color. The theater has at least 3 different colors on it. And then when you get into neutral colors, the city itself is in violation. If you go across Vine Street, we have a firehouse that has fire truck red doors on it. That's nothing else in the whole area has anything like that. So, I mean, there's just lots of issues here that need to be addressed and should properly be addressed by planning commission if we're going to move forward with something like this. There is one other issue related to this, and I don't know if this actually applies or not, but this came up when we were looking at the question of RVs and whether or not RVs could be parked. There was a case with the city of Euclid versus Fitzhugh in 1976. And the Ohio Appeals Court ruled that, I guess it was the state appellate court, said that zoning restrictions for purely aesthetic reasons are unconstitutional. In that ordinance, to be constitutional, it must be a valid exercise of police power, the power to regulate for public health, safety, morals, and welfare. I don't see how limiting murals or colors of paint or anything like that meets any of those criteria if this ordinance or if that ruling was in any way applicable to this case, and it seems to me like it probably would be. And then, again, it focuses on paint. What's to prevent someone from going out and buying 3 different colors of vinyl siding and siding their house in stripes? There's just lots and lots of ways where lots of things can be done. I personally don't think that it's a problem. If you look around town, we don't have people doing the things that people are concerned about. Could they? Sure. But it hasn't happened. It's the same thing with limiting murals and things on houses. If someone wants to go out and paint a Cleveland Browns logo on their garage door, I'm not going to object to that. I might have fixed the Steelers, but not. So anyway, all those things need to be considered and included in the. So anyway, that's just a comment that I had.
Dick, you had come up with some of the concerns, I guess. You come up with some ideas. The one was, I would really hope that the folks have a sketch. I'm old fashioned. And I worry about the possibility of something being offensive, and therefore the sketch alleviates that, and your other points are very well taken. I'm probably older than most of you folks, okay? Back in the late 60s and the 70s, I attended Kent State University. There were murals all over the place. You can call it art, you can call it whatever you want. But, you know, thank you for opening up this community to some things. And so as long as we take a look at some of these and the paint does appeal and it's not offensive, let's go for it.
Any other comments? I'd like to move that we table this ordinance.
Second. Yeah, amend the motion.
Sure.
With this be sent to planning commission for discussion.
I will include that in my motion.
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Callender? Yes. Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2848, first reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the city manager of the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Deanne?
Callender? Yes. Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2849, first reading. An ordinance amending appropriation ordinance 15-0-2803 by adding $24,000 in the general fund, $26,000 in the cemetery fund, $53,000 in the park fund, $15,000 in the street fund, $60 in the enforcement and education fund, $15,000 in the sewer fund, $3,000 in the income tax fund, $24,000 in the electric fund, $2,000 in the guaranteed deposits fund, and $2,800 in the Firestone Cemetery Trust Fund, all for the payment of current expenses as they may arise.
So moved.
Second.
years received a list from like on a monthly basis of where we were at year to date for spending for personnel, and we stopped getting that. Now this, it looks like a lot of this money is going to personnel costs. Can you tell us why we're so far over, even though we did the temporary budget and didn't start this till April?
Well, there's some things that end up that happens throughout the year that, you try to plan for, but you have no control. A couple situations, we had a street employee who went from the street department to the electric department. And he was replaced by a guy that came from the water department at a higher rate. The electric department, they lost 2 people quit early in the year. 2 people were hired, 1 transferred in, but we also had a guy on light duty from an accident, and he was still getting paid his regular wages. So technically, we had an extra person in that department all year long. There's just with the park and cemetery, a lot of it was the part-time people and the summer help, and some of that is kind of hard to plan for because a lot of that depends on the weather, especially the pool and getting stuff, grass cut and bushes trimmed and everything like that. Plus, we did some extra work in the park this year. It's just things that it's hard to basically plan for it in the beginning of the year. So
Can we go back to having the form given to council though,
Sure.
that shows where we're at year to date?
Yeah.
By month, so that we don't get surprised in December.
no problem.
And also, it also used to show the unencumbered funds that weren't appropriated,
Mhm.
so we know where we're at with those balances.
Right, because in like some funds, like the electric fund, the wages were a little off, but the operating expenses are good.
Right, but we know, we can't see any of that right now.
Good.
Any other comment?
Like the personnel fund, do you consider, when you consider the budget, do you consider overtime?
Yeah,
You do.
which is, again, sometimes hard to predict.
Right.
And
Yeah.
especially in the street department, if we get a lot of snow, and we're holding our breath for the next couple of weeks, and if we don't get a lot of snow, because, but that is, we do consider, that's wages and benefits.
Okay.
Which includes an overtime also.
Yeah.
Simpson?
Yes?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Callender? Yes.
Ordinance number 15-0-2850, first reading. An ordinance to make temporary appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Columbiana, state of Ohio, for the first 3 months of the year 2016, ending March 31st, 2016.
So. Second.
Any comment?
The only comment I had, Brian, was that it's pretty similar to what we did last year, except there is nothing, obviously, there is nothing appropriated for the self-funded health insurance, which we no longer have. And there was also an adjustment in the sewer department where we were paying back that loan for the fire truck, which we are done with this year, so that was taken out of it also.
Becker?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Callender? Yes. Simpson?
Yes.
Council comments?
Yes.
I think I could most likely hold you here till 10 o'clock filibuster.
You wearing a diaper?
My wife says I'm somewhat of a BSer, and she's most likely right. Don't laugh at me, Lowell. No, I want to say thank you to the citizens of Columbiana for electing me to this position. I feel bad in my heart that I can't stay. Obviously, if any of you were told that you're not going to have your hospitalization anymore, if you stay on council, you'd all quit as well. So tonight being my last meeting, again, thank you. I've enjoyed picking on the mayor.
done good?
I want everybody to know that it wasn't because I dislike the mayor, it's because I like to see things run as close as I can by the book, so I tried. Thank you very much for having me here. I have a letter to read, December 1, 2015, Columbiana City Council, 28 West Front Street, Columbiana, Ohio, 44408. Mayor and City Council, I, Richard Simpson, resign my seat in Columbiana City Council effective at this time. I am asking that I be considered to fill the next vacant seat on the City Planning Commission. Richard G. Simpson Sr., 705 South Main Street, Columbiana, Ohio, 44408. I got hung up here.
Thank you very much for your service.
At this time, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Rick Noel, fill that empty seat on council.
I'll second that.
Any comment?
Have there been any other letters of interest?
Ian?
Souter.
Yes.
McBain.
Yes.
Challenger. Yes. Becker.
Yes.
Save me from saying it.
Now, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Dick to the empty seat.
You can't do that.
Can't do that? Okay.
No. And the appointment for Rick is effective next time, so
Okay.
I'll swear him in at that point in time. Because the empty seat on the planning commission, once he steps up here, is a council appointment.
Okay.
So you can't, you can put some other council person, but you can't appoint
Okay.
a private citizen at this point.
Now, the Rick's seat on planning commission will become vacant.
It is vacant as of the 8th, because he's not gonna be sworn in. His term on council won't start till the 15th.
Okay.
So he'll still be a member of the planning commission at the next meeting on the 8th. And then once he takes his seat on council, he foregoes that position, and then there'll have to be another council person, whoever it is.
There needs to be encouragement for the open seats for, if need be, I go out and I try to look for some people, and I think it's important. It's important to you people. I know sometimes you get upset with us and you think we're off in some corner someplace, but we're really not. And, we are a growing community. We're the type of community that looks into all entities, and it's very important. It's important to me. I've been in this community since 1972, and I want to thank you for encouraging me to run for this seat. You've been a good friend, and you're both a well full of knowledge. And man, we're going to lose you. So tying that all together, folks, we need to get out there and get those young people, okay? If they're afraid, what's there to fear? It's a yes or a no thing, we're not going to be up here forever. And guys need to be up here. Young ladies need to be up here. Look to the future, okay? The minute you turn 18, you can run for office. Okay, you're a legal adult. So please, get out there in this community and let's get the best people we can get and make this place grow like it's going to in the next decade. Thank you.
Lance, I know that you're looking at budgets and everything else for next year.
Yeah.
But there's something I think would be valuable to all the councilmen here and the new councilmen in particular. over the years, there's been lots of projects that we've talked about, needs that we've had that we want to try to fulfill. Everything from wastewater management to, this year we had a case where suddenly we realized we needed to put in a new water line to help with water pressure. You and I had conversations about trying to relocate sewer lines for gravity feed and eliminate some of the lift stations. I'm thinking that it would be nice to have something that said, here are things this city needs to do over the next 5 years.
Sure.
Because we need to start looking at those things and thinking about how we're going to allocate budgets to do things that are going to be sorely needed in the future. We probably didn't plan well enough for the new water plant. If someone had started saying 20 years ago that we need to figure out how we're going to do that, I don't know when, Lowell, you maybe know when we started talking about that, because it seems like it was at least 10 years ago, and we're still not there.
06, I think.
06, yeah. So it would be nice, I think, for everybody here to get a feel for what we need to prepare for the future.
Sure, and what I'll probably end up doing is doing a report like we did last year with a projector, and we'll go what happened in 2015, and then we'll look towards the future, and we'll sit down with the supervisors to get their input on that aspect.
I have one comment. I just want to address this Star, correct? I was watching the 350, 400 posts or whatever they were on Facebook, a bit in disbelief that no one that posted any of those things, they didn't reach out to me. I don't know if they reached out to any of you, but all it was made up and was scaring people. As you saw tonight, there was nothing from this council that stated anything about wanting to take art away from anyone in Columbiana, or that we were against anything. One person put a comment on there, and without asking anyone else, everyone blew it way out of proportion. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree.
And so I want to address the fact that you can't always believe everything you read online, first of all. Second of all, I think that as a community, if you want to see or do something, you should come and sit where you are, because you get to see and know who you're actually working with. I think we're all reasonable people. We all may not agree directly with you. I don't know. They don't agree with me. So, and we all sit up here and work together. And that's the whole point of being in a city. We're not all going to agree on everything. But we do have to work together because we all live here, right? So next time, before something gets completely and utterly blown out of proportion like this, I'd personally appreciate a phone call to myself or other council members up here so that we can express to you what's going on, rather than putting us on a defensive where we have to try to watch every word because we don't know what you're going to say, right? So I'm just being honest with you. I am an open book, which is why people don't always like me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more the community, what the community has been saying, not so much.
But it started in the matter of moments.
Yeah.
And it was like a fire getting lit, and none of it was accurate.
And it wasn't my intent, though.
I understand intent, but our intent wasn't to have this conversation at all. Right?
Yeah.
So best intentions aren't best laid plans. So all I'm asking from you and everyone else, not only here, but in the community, is if you have a question or a concern, our job is to be open and represent you. If you have a question, call us. Don't go ask 100 other people that don't know what decisions are being discussed or made. I personally do believe that we need as a city to have some form. We don't necessarily want every single thing from every idea facing every front building down Main Street. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But those things need to be discussed rather than just thrown out and saying, hey, there's no art. The last thing I want to leave you with, I posted I think we've got more art in Columbiana and growth than any other city around. We've got the art festival in Firestone Park. We've got the Pocket Park that we just approved in the last month and a half or so. It has 3-4 giant mural areas that will, my intent was to approach you to have your students and want to put art in it. It changes, we can change it monthly, quarterly, seasonally, however we want, and it's always going to be there. There's going to be benches in there, there's landscaping in there, there's there's everything that you would want to come and see where it's at, and we'll know that it's there. We can change it anytime we want. That's something that this council is working on with private donations in the city as we speak. On top of that, we're working on redoing some of Firestone Park right now, and that includes a lot for the arts, including a new outdoor amphitheater. We've got an amphitheater that's also going out at the new plaza at Firestone Farms. This community not only doesn't not like art, we embrace it. So to say those things was just not right. I just want you to say things that you are aware of and you know, and approach us before you worry about what's not going to happen. Fair? I appreciate your concern and for coming and for drumming it up. I just wish you would have approached us to find out what the truth was.
Well, just so you know, I'm her husband. She wasn't the first one to post it on there.
I know.
Yeah, there was someone else brought it up, and we were.
In disbelief.
It was just a shock to us as it was to you guys. So it was.
Yeah.
Mayor, may I say that most questions should be directed to the city manager.
I mean, I think that as represented officials, we all.
We can all take them, but
Yeah.
he's the man that should answer most questions.
I think that is the case. I think those things get referred that way. Would you agree?
Yeah, we'd like to see that chain of command. It seems to be working pretty efficiently. I'd like to continue that.
Any other comments?
So,